Welcome to my video called Conscious versus Consciousness, the two aspects of ourselves. This presentation is in progressive stages, as each section is very important to convey the compelling message offered for consideration. And for this reason, there is a written timeline for future viewing. I hope you gain an appreciation and understanding of my message and enjoy the graphical story journey within this presentation. So now, let's begin. This critique addresses unrecognised and unexplained negative social, psychological complexities and influences in our society, and the effect this has on our psyche. It explains how to overcome these challenging life difficulties and provides the knowledge, enabling a more enlightened and peaceful life for yourself. In the latter half of this demonstration, two confronting Australian stories are introduced, and in many ways verifies my reasoning for this presentation, and also for personal and social changes. What is conscious and consciousness, and what is the difference? Our society lives in a predominantly conscious state. Life is conducted through the processes of what society has constructed and projects this image towards us for engagement. Generally, this is being involved in what is out there rather than what is in here, within ourselves. A conscious state is abundantly focused with economic survival and seeking pleasure relief from these determinants. Earning money means living within this conscious state and to focus on survival in our economic society. Let me first explain in more detail this conscious state. As life progresses in a conscious state, it is registered within us, body and mind, as a defining reality. There are no other alternatives for consideration. No new knowledge for an alternative has been put forward. This life becomes an unquestionable paradigm. It may be sufficient for economic survival, but a conscious state has no sustainable ability for prolonged personal contentment, as it is superficial. This disposition for surviving in our economic society in a conscious state has forced a personal need to escape from this reality through the use of external entertainment, because the conscious state is not aligned to our natural self. When we look at the vastness of entertainment choices, we can clearly see a massive intrusion on lives, creating a chaotic response towards these choices. With these two forces projected onto oneself in our society, the trapped psyche conscious state predominates, and the cycle of trappedness continues. There is no relief. Only the continuous cycle of conscious reality, surviving and relief. It is important to remember all this is created for the benefit of our societal economic survival. No alternative is ever offered as an alternative, because this would be detrimental to the economic state. The alternative and aim of my presentation is to understand we have two states of self: the conscious state and our inner consciousness. Consciousness is our divine nature intelligence. Consciousness affects our psyche, enabling us to facilitate a life with contentment. This is also called an equilibrium with self. Another word for this would be homeostasis, a stable balance maintained by physiological processes. When we look at this graphic, we can see the pressures of job performance in our economic reality, where stress and anxiety outweigh any other thought. It is all-consuming. The only relieving alternative is to search for some relief. This search takes one towards an opening in the hole of trappedness within the economic life, searching for some kind of an alternative to provide peace and relief. Yet this is unobtainable due to the lack of knowledge about inner consciousness, where sustainable peace exists. Turning to the vast chaotic choices of external entertainment for relief adds to the mental stress. There are generous and abundant choices where all are unsustainable, as when found in a particular moment in time, it ends as quickly as the choice, leading further to the never-ending cycle of seeking relief through pleasure. However, when we gain the knowledge and understanding of our inner consciousness, it leads to a sustainable relief, as this depth of self never wants or needs. It has a natural resource within the realm of peace and belonging internally. And this is the important criteria to understand consciousness self, which is separate to our conscious self, our conscious state. When we look at our bodies in these two formats, we can see the skin layer, and under this are the many pathways involved with our internal communication for survival. Each of these pathways play a role in our inner capabilities for our survival. The aspect we cannot see in these graphics is the invisible energy. That is the power field to our survival, and operated from our consciousness. Each pathway we see produces this energy, and to understand consciousness is to understand this energy sustains our life. When we are trapped within the box of conscious reality, our consciousness is trapped within this state also. This most important additional feature of discovering consciousness at this level is it has the power to transform our lives towards a sense of contentment, balance, and peace. But predominantly as a conscious state, this is only used for survival and pleasure only. Content consciousness is separate to our conscious reality. Conscious state is trapped within a defined state of the continual search for pleasure through superficiality within the confines of survival. To change is to recognize our higher intelligent consciousness state. When we are able to recognize and live life through our higher power of consciousness, we are then able to live life with more purpose. The visual self becomes a smaller state, and we rise above the state of self we had become accustomed to. This graphic was produced to explain the progressive stages in life from the conscious state towards the enlightenment state. Understanding these progressions is important. The picture on the left shows a person concentrating on surviving and pleasure in our society, an external search projection. The consciousness of self stays dormant in the realm of itself, mainly just focusing on its ability to keep the body operating for self to survive. The second graphic shows the change when deep consciousness is recognized within, through empirical and academic knowledge, producing the feeling of its existence. The feeling of something deep within, the feel of this energy field, which produces the feeling of a much larger benefit for your life. The last stage is enlightenment, where we reach the full stage of understanding about ourselves. The integration of body and soul. The divine nature intelligence becomes reality. Homeostasis is active. And all this produces a more peaceful life. The survival stage is depicted in this graphic. As indicated, all responses from our body are directed outwardly to seek relief from what our society has constructed. There is no thought to something internally, as no alternative is taught in our society. We are left with multiple choices of external superficiality to find self. We never find it, as the search is infinite. We are left with a connection to the outside world, and all processes are focused on this conscious reality venture. The next stage of development is the recognition stage. The second stage is where recognition of something else is actually within us. The recognition through empirical and academic knowledge of a defining communicative energy within. We slowly begin to push the outside world away from us and recognize the knowledge of something more peaceful. Our body and mind begin to construct an inner communication development link. This develops over time towards a refined connection to find our complete self. The final stage is enlightenment. Self-enlightenment is the feeling of a complete combined state of self, body, mind, and consciousness energy. Inner communication inspires the psyche to connect to our inner self. Another word to describe this would be communicative psychosomatics. External influences are now only fragments of the past. We are at a state of complete self, relying on our divine nature intelligence to process life, and our life transforms into a connective state without the searching for external wants and needs. In its purest form, it is a meditative state. Sitting cross-legged and closing your eyes is not necessary. You have reached this divine state of self standing, sitting, observing, and feeling the moment. This state is also recognized as its connection and is adaptive with nature. Nature responds to this enlightenment within and plays a connective part in your sense of peace and connection. Nature is you, and you are now also nature. The stages towards self-enlightenment are progressive. With your need to find a life more peaceful, the journey to self-fulfillment and enlightenment awaits you. And all it takes is focus and intent through academic and empirical knowledge. and a focus to stop, think, and question life, away from the superficiality your life has become accustomed to. Remember, you are only an external participant in this societal life because of taught nurturing. And in turn, this has created a body and mind program to function under these conditions. You have been taught no alternative. The willingness to find a better life now becomes your goal. I would like to explain how a conscious person living in their conscious reality with a discontentment, a chaos of survival, and a need to find relief from their conscious state can cause suffering to others. Their superficial wants and needs stem from a dissatisfaction of life and overtakes any ability for them to feel compassion, and a complete lack of coherent thinking for change. In 2018 Australia, a young girl woke to another day. Sometime during that day, she committed suicide. She did this because of a continual barrage of bullying and criticism from others over a period of time. These others are regarded as conscious people who have no sense of an inner self, nor any understanding of consciousness. They are unhappy and dissatisfied with their life, and they wanted to make someone else feel unhappy because of their condition. Change is necessary in our society to enable a more peaceful existence. If our divine nature intelligence, our consciousness, is taught, we can improve life for many. External society pleasures produce a maelstrom of chaotic emotions and addictions. With multiple searching for unsustainable superficial pleasure through media devices, all purposefully enticing society to engage, and coupled with the vast resources of choices involving materialism, entertainment, and our competitive monetary system. It is not surprising conscious people find themselves slipping into the abyss of mental health abnormalities and reaching the depths of dissatisfaction and confusion. It becomes a never-ending search for cosmetic superficiality, where once scored, another is sought. The stages are obvious when brought to our attention with this graphic. The chase for security and pleasure in our economic society sends many to the brick wall, the halfway house of mental confusion. There is no taught alternative. They reach the wall and suffer a mental state of hopelessness because they know no alternative. This is their reality. If only they knew on the other side of the wall was their state of consciousness with belonging and peace. It is no wonder many suffer from mental health abnormalities. The only relief they know is what the economic society has taught them, and this in itself is the established doctrine of society life. While living in stress, anxiety, and discontent, many reach for alcohol for relief and find the following day relief and change did not materialize. tomorrow is the same as yesterday. And when we look at gambling, we can see the adverse effects on families. Each gambler playing the numbers game in life, waiting for their numbers to drop, hoping these numbers will provide them with an answer they are looking for. But there are no answers. They are entrenched at the brick wall with no relief. While their family stutters into dismal disarray, they have no direction except their own pleasure and addictive needs. But there is an alternative: to change to a consciousness state, through the processes of understanding this state, of changing thinking, to stop and think, gain the knowledge for change and change life with this knowledge, where eventual contentment surfaces. It means overcoming the addiction and reactive emotions of being in a conscious world of chaotic superficiality. It means building on new knowledge, because new knowledge unlocks a new life, and a new life is dismissing the external life. To find your connective and peaceful consciousness within, where all your needs and wants dissolve. It is where coherent thinking overtakes emotional dyslexia. Conscious reality for many, and living in their state of economic survival, creates a maelstrom of mental health abnormalities for themselves and families. It has a far-reaching effect on society in a devastating way. The next story I am about to tell you is confronting. It is why we need to know the knowledge of self, our consciousness, and how our inner divine nature intelligence can change ourselves and our view of the society we live in. In Australia, 2017, a conscious person in our society received a regular dose of methadone. He left the premises, entered his car, drove 20 kilometres and killed a family of 4. It is time to look at a new reality. We cannot and must not continue with the present. The new reality opens up clear possibilities for personal peace and dissolves the disorder that clearly causes disarray within the psyche of many and affects others in a destructive way. We must acknowledge there is another way and push aside the forces of mental health disruption and enter the consciousness reality. To be part of something more profound than conscious reality that our society offers. It is now time to be more perceptive and take personal responsibility for change. A reality that is not attached to the superficial wants and needs of society. This change will eventually change you to self-harmony and in turn change the life around you. If you have at any stage asked questions about life, this is now your incentive for change. The knowledge of personal peace provides a life of pleasantness and a connectiveness to something more insightful than superficial externalism. by understanding, reaching and experiencing our divine nature intelligence, our consciousness, we are able to transcend our life towards personal liberty and reach the personal state of consciousness content with a calmness that is liberating. Communication is one of the key components within yourself, with others, observing self, observing others, and communicating this way on a level of inner self-awareness. Dismissing your reactive emotion is imperative, as these emotions are a programmed response from the past and largely have no benefit for understanding true intelligent self. Calmness is all important to finding true self. We all possess divine nature intelligence. It is just participants in our society have become addicted and accustomed to their superficial societal reality and react emotionally to its superficial reality. With this new ability, you can transform your old life towards the new, more content life for yourself and others close to you. Be patient. It takes time. Remember, your body has become accustomed to your present life and stored this as a memory that is regarded as the absolute. But it isn't the absolute. There is something else. Gradually you can change because you have the ability to change. Separate and dismiss your reactions to a society of superficiality. You can because you have your own divine nature intelligence. What will you do now?